The Magic 8 method of making half square triangles starts with 2 squares that are quite a bit bigger than your finished square size, and then you end up with 8 identical half square triangles. So this method's super fast and super easy, and once you start doing this method, it's hard to go back to 2 at a time or 4 at a time. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and also you can print off this chart from the blog post that shows you how to get to finished block sizes from 1 inch to 16 inches, and that it shows your starting size for your squares and then the size you're going to trim it down to. The finished block size is the size that it will end up being in your quilt. So I did the 4.5 inch finished 4-inch finished size, which means when it's ready to trim, it's going to be 4.5 inches. So these are straight off of the 8 method. I haven't trimmed off the edges yet, so these are about 4.5 inches in both directions. And so to get that size, we start with 10-inch squares. So I've cut 2 10-inch squares, and what we'll do first is put them facing each other, right sides together, and you can pin them if you want. I like to put a couple pins in just to hold the fabric flat while I'm doing this. And then we're going to first draw 2 lines diagonally across to create an X. So I'm going to use this purple marker. And then we'll do across the other way as well. So those lines are what we're going to use to sew. So we're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side of each of those lines. So we'll stitch 1/4 inch on this side, 1/4 inch back, and do the same on the other line. I sewed this with black thread, which I normally wouldn't do. You'd normally want to pick a thread that more closely matches your fabrics. But I used black thread so you can see where the lines of stitching go. And then from here, we're going to cut these open. So that's all the stitching we're doing for the 8 at a time method. So I'm going to get my mat, and we're going to make 4 cuts. So the cuts are going to be along these purple lines and also straight down and straight across. So the first ones we're going to do are the straight down and straight across. So we're going to basically cut this square into 4 quadrants, and we can just use a 3x18 acrylic ruler. I like to line it up at the top and then make sure I'm cutting through this diamond evenly. Right through the middle of that diamond. So we're going to slice it with our rotary cutter, and then we're going to do that same thing across. I like to do these separate since they're unattached now. And one more here. Okay, now these purple lines are still drawn for us, so we're just going to cut them along purple line. Make sure you're not cutting into that seam allowance, and that gives us the half square triangles that we're looking for. And so as you can see, this is a really fast method, and the measurements on the cheat sheet are going to be give you a little bit of space. You can trim them down just a tad, but these will be about the right size, and then just trim off those corners and straighten up any edges you might need to straighten up. And then I like to press the seam allowance toward the darker fabric so it's harder to see. So that is the half square triangle method 8 at a time. It's also called the Magic 8 method because of how quick and easy it is. And go ahead and download the cheat sheet from the blog post so you can make these in any size.